And you wonder if it's really even sinking in.
Trial and error.
Yeah, right. But really, that was it.
Kobe.
Trial and error. You know, you start looking at things, you start saying, man, like if I'm watching an edit on the player, and I watch one particular game, and then I look at the next game, and he's doing the same thing. And the next night, he's doing the same thing. Hold on, let me go back and watch. And then you start looking for consistent behaviors or patterns in their behavior. And then you think, okay, maybe that's something that's a tendency for him. Let me go back and check. 2 dribbles, turn. 2 dribbles, turn. 2 dribbles, turn. 2 dribbles, turn. 2 dribbles. Oh my God! Yeah,
there
that's
it is.
it.
There's the pattern.
Right. So what if I interrupt him between his first and second dribble and throw him off a rhythm? What'll happen then? Right. What if I know he's gonna go 1-2,
like
turn right shoulder? I let him
faker.
go 1-2. Now I jump to his right shoulder. Now you can't turn there. What happens then? Right. You throw him off of their patterns.
Let's check out Indiana's starting lineup. Young and Turner up front. Victor Oladipo is out there with Corey Joseph. And it's Bogdanovich in at the 3. Kobe, you're a father. You've enjoyed that process, but basketball got in the way a lot of that. How do you balance fatherhood and playing at the level you played at?
Yeah, when I was winning championships there, our kids were still relatively young, or I should say babies. In my last few years, they were older and knew they could really feel my absence. And so what I try to do is try to bring them along for the process. So there were mornings I would wake them up and say, let's go. So we're going. Well, Daddy's going to go train, so let's go.
No kidding.
And I bring them with me. And they'd be in the gym shooting around or kicking a soccer ball around or hitting a volleyball around. But I felt like it was important as a father to not just tell them about hard work, but they need to see what I'm doing. When you're sleeping, this is what I'm doing here for 3 hours. And so they're a part of the process and feel connected to the process. But traveling and things of that nature is very, very hard. Because there's been plenty of birthdays that I've missed and school plays that I've missed.
Randall. They shoot again. And finally they hit
He's just a
one.
beast in there.
You see what Randall can do when in full attack mode? There, converting off of the miss.
And Joseph kicks to Young. You know, Kobe, the league seems to be moving away from isolation basketball, sometimes called hero ball, in favor of more ball movement, more of a fluid offense. What do you make of that trend?
Well, I think it's the right thing. I mean, if you look at the way the Knicks played, for example, when they had Bradley, Busher, Phil was coming off the bench.
Well, you are a historian. You love the history of the game, don't you?
Oh, my God.
I mean, I can just tell working with you.
Yeah. Holtzman was coaching. You had Frazier out there. I mean, they moved the ball. I mean, everything was predicated on ball movement, as was the Celtics with Brett Auerbach. And then in the 80s, things changed a little bit. You start going to more isolation ball, where guys would post deep and force the double coverage to come all the way down to him, and then you start moving the ball around. Now you start seeing a spread offense, where the ball's moving again like it was when the Knicks were playing and the Celtics were playing. And so, I think it just depends on the style of defense that you're seeing and the personnel that you have. I think that determines your style of play.
Kobe, a big part of the talent evaluation today is the psychological impact in that aspect, which I think will lead teams toward one prospect over another. If you were looking for personality traits in players and you were making that decision for a team, what trait would you value the most in a player?
No, curiosity. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's curiosity.
Why so?
Because curious people will always ask why things work or don't work.
And you were a big why asker.
You have to, because that's the only reason you win, is when you can figure out why things happen or didn't happen. Right? If you lose a game, a curious person won't point the finger. A curious person will say, well, why did we lose? Instead of just saying them,
right.
They're going to go back and check the film and ask questions. Okay, why did we mess up there? Why did we blow that coverage there?
Bogdanovich, no luck. Los Angeles leading by 4. Hey, Kobe, when you take a look at great NBA rivalries, your mind goes more to the past than the present. I'm not sure why that is, but maybe you can enlighten us why rivalries seem to matter more or were more in our minds from yesteryear as opposed to today.
Because we can recall where we were when. Right? The recollection is always more powerful in retrospect, right? I mean, that's always, you remember where you were when Magic hit that running hook shot.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Some people can remember where they were when Nelson hit that shot that bounced off the back of the rim and almost touched the rafters and fell back in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's those memories that create a lasting impact. And even though in today's game, you can look at it and say, there's no real rivalries in today's game, there are. but they're only sink in over time.
So you think the Cleveland-Golden State rivalry, because the greats are on opposite sides there, will linger and will
Absolutely.
resonate like that?
Absolutely.
And that's out of bounds. Indiana will retain possession.
So close to getting the steal there, but the deflection equally as effective.
Oh, man, yeah, he read it all the way. He got a jump on it. Very close.
Kobe, that fadeaway jump shot of yours is such a foundational part of your game. What's the key to that particular shot? And who's carrying the torch for that shot now?
Well, yeah, the fadeaway is there's different ways to shoot the fadeaway. There's a Kim Olajuwon way of shooting the fadeaway. There's a Michael way of shooting the fadeaway.
Oscar used to do it, and I know you.
Oscar used to do it quite a bit. So I try to use bits and pieces from each, depending on the defender that I'm facing. But yeah, there's certain players that are carrying that shot now. LeBron shoots the fadeaway quite often, as does KD. He shoots it a lot. Clay will shoot it. Kawhi will shoot it quite a bit off of pull-up jumpers and things of that sort. So there are a lot of players doing it.
And the trend around the league, Kobe, is more offense, more three-pointers, certainly spacing, fluid offense. Scoring is up around the league in a measurable way from, it seems like, year to year. Do you like the way this is trending, or do you think the NBA should maybe put a governor on this, harness it in just a little bit?
Well, I think it'll swing back to the way,
Do you?
Yeah, because the game has gone through that progression before. And, it's constantly evolving. And so I think you'll see it swing back eventually. You'll have a couple teams that are just big and may have a dominant post player, and all of a sudden you're going inside, and then that team will win a championship, and then the rest of the teams in the league will try to copycat the way the game is played that way. Then things will swing back. So it's just natural evolution of the game, I think.
In competition, once again, Kobe, the thing that drives you so much, even on the practice floor, you and Jordan were so much alike in that regard. Is it important to go at your teammates and challenge them in those practices that you recall?
You have to challenge them, because if you don't, then they become conditioned to not have those challenges every day, right? So if you come off of a night where you have a back-to-back, for example, and you have a practice the next morning, it's our responsibility to step into that practice and challenge them as if it was the game that we just played the night before, right? Because if you do not, then you don't have that competitive spirit day in and day out, where then you feel like you can take games off because you can take practices off because you just don't have it in practice, right? So it's our job to bring that every single day so that competing just becomes a habit for them.
And you learn about their mental endurance, their physical endurance during those practices.
Well, yeah, you challenge them to learn about themselves, right? You challenge them to think about themselves. Can I push a little extra? I'm going to have to, because he's driving me like crazy. And if I don't meet that challenge, I'm going to have to hear his mouth all practice long. I'm going to have to hear his mouth on the plane. I'm going to have to hear his mouth on the bus. I'm going to have to hear his mouth in the locker room.
Yeah.
And I'd rather just compete.
Fouled in the act of shooting, a three-point play chance coming up.
And we'll take it.
Defense not putting up any fight on the inside. They've allowed 10 straight points in the paint.
And the Lakers with some changes. Zubac is checked in for Lopez. Wells comes in for Ingram. And it's Ennis in for Clarkson. So an entirely new group in now for Indiana. Al Jefferson, he's checked in for Miles Turner. Lance Stevenson comes in for Bogdanovich. Robinson's checked in for Victor Oladipo. Young is subbed in for Joseph. Kobe, I'm assuming that you've had teammates come back later and say, Kobe, you made me a better player.
Yeah, well, the thing is, when we're playing together, they don't like it very much because I'm always challenging them. But then at the end, like even to this day, we're all very close. We're all great friends because they knew what I was trying to do was trying to push them to be the best version of themselves.
Well, you got to play against some great defenders in the NBA like Draymond Green of Golden State and others. What are some of the things that, I mentioned Draymond Green, that he does as a player that you think separates him from the rest of the defensive guys in the league?
He does his research. He does his homework.
You can tell.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can tell. When you watch him play, he puts himself in position before the offensive player even attacks. And how does he know that? Because he's watching film. He studies. He knows the player's tendencies. And so when you mix in the research to go along with his frame and the quick hands and the foot speed, then you have a defensive player that's a force.
And on the glass so far, it hadn't even been close.
And Kobe, something that has changed in the NBA over the course of your career is the role of the power forward, the four. More and more you need to be able to stretch the floor, take your guy outside, shoot the three. Do you feel that that's a trend, or is that something you think that is here to stay in the NBA?
Well, I think things will evolve and things will change. I mean, you start getting power forwards like Tim Duncan and Garnett back in the league, Dirk. All of a sudden, it becomes less and less of a commodity to have smaller forwards.
Right.
Because you're going to need to deal with the Tim Duncans and the Garnetts of the world. So I think it's just a natural evolution thing.
Did you, when you had to guard a big like that, ever fear going out and trying to get him on the side or even working him inside the lane where he would have more power, more advantage?
No, I never worried about it too much. What I try to do is I always try to study the film and figure out what their tendencies are, what their sweet spots are, and you just try to get them off of that. It's not necessarily about the size of them, but how do you get yourself in position when you can knock them off down just a little bit and use the lack of size that you have to disorient them.
And Kobe, your spectacular high school career at Lower Merion High School in Philadelphia, in that Philadelphia area, paved the way for your NBA career. Talk about some of the highlights of your days in high school.
Well, my days in high school were fun. I mean, I played at a small high school called Lower Merion High School, so not too many people heard of it. When you come to Philadelphia, the schools that you hear of are Overbrook, where Wilt Chamberlain went to school, Bartram, right, where Earl the Pearl Monroe went to school, right? But you never heard of little old Lower Merion High School, right? So it was a huge honor to be able to bring a state championship to Lower Merion and kind of put Lower Merion on the map, and that's the most exciting part about it.
Oh, a terrific story indeed. A huge honor, I'm sure. Dimes, the pass to Zubac. Second shot opportunity. Goes up again.
Oh, he's padding. He's padding his rebound.
Finally, that one's good. And the Lakers lead by 8.
Zubac.
And you just hate to give up those second chance points.
It can be discouraging, frustrating, but you only have yourselves to blame. Box out.
And Zubac picks up the foul. That is his first foul of the game. Maybe for a guy like yourself who made an incredible amount of three-point shots during your career, what is it like watching Steph Curry? Just how much has he changed the league? It was always watching the dunks of Jordan. Now we got kids that want to shoot the ball from distance.
Yeah. Shooting the ball from distance now has kind of become like a home run in baseball, right? Where it's exciting to watch the ball in flight. I think it's great because it just adds more love to the game, more things that players could do or kids can do that can't dunk. Right? It's like dunking was the thing, right? But now for kids that can't dunk, there's something else that's fun. There's something else that's entertaining, like shooting threes. Right? So
but boy, that takes a lot of work. Huh?
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, it's a lot of repetition.
Hundreds of shots daily.
Yeah, and it's a lot of repetition. I mean, Steph, you watch him out there playing and making all these shots. He's put in hours and hours and hours of hard work and continues to do so.
They set the screen. And the lead now, double digits on that bucket. And now it's a 10-point Laker lead.
Yeah, second chance points, a huge issue right now. They're getting steamrolled inside.
Stevenson right side. Whistle on the play. Bucket's good. He'll go to the line. With that three-point shooting on the rise, Kobe, if you were coming into the league right now, would you try to lean more in that direction than the incredible acrobat that you were when you were in your prime?
It depends who I was playing against. I try to build my game to be able to do all those things.
And you could. I mean, you're like one of the few guys that could do all this.
Yeah, so it just depends on who I was matching up against, which determines then how I would try to punish the defense.
I like that word.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a softer one. And I was like, punish is a good one.
You're honest. Here's Jefferson, a rebound by the Lakers. Zubac has got 4 rebounds in this game. Here's Dimes, coming off a stellar performance against Oklahoma City. And there's the pass to Kuzma, and a missed layup.
Some tough D in the paint, getting between him and the ball.
I mean, it was like watching a cat play with a mouse. They were able to do more or less whatever they wanted.
And when it's all said and done here, this will mark their 38th W on the year.
And so they'll take the first game of the season series, a team they'll only see twice. They're certainly happy to start it off with a win.
And guys, what?
Thank you, man. It did kind of seem like that, didn't it? No, I play hard on every play. I want every block, every board, every steal that I can, anything that I can do to help the team get that W. I got lucky. I got some lucky bounce backs tonight, but the guys, they did a really good job of boxing out the other team so that I could get the rebounds. And it resulted in the win tonight. I mean, overall, it was just a great team win, though.